With potential future virus outbreaks looming, the Canadian economy is still full of uncertainty. The federal government's fiscal snapshot projected a deficit of $343.2 billion. That could climb higher by the end of the year. It's a frightening number for sure, but what does it mean? We are joined by finance expert David Lester. Good to see you, David.
Nice to see you too.
These are really big numbers to wrap our heads around. The spike in deficit spending is going to push the federal debt past the $1 trillion mark. So when you break that down, what does that mean for people at home paying their mortgages, paying their rent?
Right. Well, the good news is that the interest rates are so low right now that we will not be paying as much as we would if interest rates were a lot higher. That's basically the only bit of good news that we have around that. The bad news is that money right now, last year, the government spent $26 billion just making the payments on that debt. And you can imagine that us loading on another $343 billion, how our payments will go a lot higher. And then there'll be less money for transfers to schools, for building roads, for doing things like that. So as more money goes towards paying the debt, we're going to have less and less money to invest in pensions and infrastructure and new projects. So that's how it's going to be bad for Canadians.
I know it's still more numbers, but this one really made a lot of sense to me. So, we're giving these emergency payments, $2,000 a month, costs $87 billion. That's the total it costs to give everybody that $2,000 a month. And as you said, we're going to continue to pile on spending. Higher taxes has been a consequence of this. So if those are in our future, should financial plans change to accommodate this?
Yes, for sure. And I think we really need to look at ways we can cut costs. So because of this new economy, a lot of us are working from home, and we can cut out a lot of things like the train and parking and business clothes, things like that. So there's things that we can really take that money and reinvest and really fortify our finances. And we never know if this will happen again. That's another thing. It's the government just took its credit card and paid for this. It's like having a house and the roof starting to leak. But what happens when the furnace blows, Mm-hmm. So we need to do the same thing as individuals and really pay down our debt and make sure if something does happen and one of us gets laid off, or if you work by yourself or whatever, you want to really pay down debt and build up a war chest. And you can pull that money from savings, from things that we won't be using anymore. I really think we'll be going back to like the 70s, with the fondue. You have to get out the old fondue set and have people over, people in your bubble, have them over, and just cut out a lot of these costs that this new world that we're living in now allows us to.
David, what about our seniors? They're often living on fixed incomes. What does the deficit mean for them?
And so what was good for the government, that we're not going to be paying that much interest, well, we will be paying interest on this huge amount of money, is bad for seniors, because when interest rates are higher, that means that they collect a higher percentage. And seniors really were able to live off GICs in the olden days when they were higher percents, and now they can't at all because it's like 50 cents on the dollar or whatever. So it makes them have to invest in riskier things like stocks and things like that. So it really is detrimental for them, and they really need to sit down with their financial planner and find a way to get proper income now that these guaranteed bonds aren't available anymore, or they just pay pennies.
David, the government also says they expect nearly 2 million Canadians to remain without jobs this year. It's hard to hear. If another outbreak happens in the coming months, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that is a big risk. And we really need the government to step up. Around the world, Germany and a bunch of other places have plans of how they're going to accelerate up and build the economy back up so that we can have more tax dollars coming in, so we get more people off of unemployment and back to jobs. So we have to really sit down as a nation and decide what's the plan, how are we going to, get back on the horse and and fortify again financially, individually, and also as a nation for these new viruses and things that are popping up more and more as we move forward.
David, good to talk to you this morning. Nice to see you again.
Nice seeing you too.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.